All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Crypto Wolf, and how are you guys doing lately? What's been going on with you? I know the market's been kind of depressing lately, but you know what? We're going to talk about that. We'll cover that here in a second. Just skipping right to it real quick. Quote of the day: when everyone else is scared, that's the best time to smile and say, fuck it, I'm going in. Part of my language, but you know what? It needs to be said. You need the emphasis right there sometimes. So, you know, even though things may be looking a little grim, looking a little down, seeing a lot of red in the charts, the negative numbers over there on coin market cap and all that good stuff. You know what? It's if you're trading, it's kind of irrelevant. Yeah, you know, if you're looking at your portfolio a little bit, it could be a little bit discouraging. Maybe, you know, your overall value and portfolio is down a little bit. But you know what? That's the best time to not look at it. You know, if you're not planning on selling it at this point, you're just better off just not looking at it. Just act like it's your 401k stuck off somewhere you don't even know and just ignore it. But looking over here at the charts real quick, you know, I was just zooming in over here on the lower time frames just to see what was happening. But, you know, zooming out a little bit, let's go over to the 24 real quick. I wanted to show you guys this. So ever since, you know, we came down, had this first little pullback, started looking at support resistance levels, and got these three right here. And ironically, you know, since drawing them back in this area, we've held to them pretty well, especially you know, on the lower time frames. We kind of came into this channel right here, just between these two resistance levels, as well as, you know, consolidating over here within it for a little bit. You know, support down here, a little bit of support there, blew through, but basically support through here. So, you know, aside from jumping up to this next one up here, falling a little short of the spider line, but we've really just been hanging out within this little channel, I guess you will. And obviously today, I think I even saw some other people's videos talking about how it was just a sideways kind of day. Things were going sideways, you know, relatively a little bit boring, but it was still scalping territory in there if you wanted to. But let's jump up real quick and see what's going on. And for anybody who watched or popped in on the little live stream test that we did on Saturday, appreciate that. We're working on getting it together. I'm testing some little things out here and there. Part of it is just which software I want to use. I was trying to use OBS. Was giving me all kind of fits. I couldn't see the live chat or any of that good stuff, and so ended up cutting it, switched over to Streamlabs, and then internet took a crap on me, so then it was like down for like 10 minutes, and then it reconnected like over here, like I never closed out of the stream, but I don't even know if it ever even like showed the rest of that in the chart analysis, so deleted it off of there. So in case you were wondering what the hell was going on with that. But back to the chart over here, as you can see, you know, we had this big trend line that could potentially be the bottom of a pattern right there. You know, after breaking through, we were kind of hugging the top right there, just holding on for dear life before, you know, we finally took off downward. And if you remember from previous analysis videos, I'll zoom out even a little bit more here, when I was talking about this big golden pocket right here, which was a fib retracement off the entire bull market thus far for this cycle. And you know, we hit support back here the previous time we came up to it. Now this is going off of the all-time high right here, so it's a little bit of hindsight on that one. But you know, I was saying that if we broke through this, if we closed below this golden pocket, life could be getting a little bit worse. Now we do have a couple other things going for us. We got this 200-week moving average, which is, I believe it's this guy right here. Actually, let me change the color just so we can see it a little bit better. Okay, so yeah, so it's blue. Let's say we made it red, extra thick. So that's the 200-week moving average, which I've been seeing a lot of people talking about is kind of like our last line of defense, that even though we had the black swan dip below it right there, that it's hold on for dear life at that point. So we'll see what happens. Right now it is currently at, what is it, 21,735. And then keep in mind, you know, as time goes, this is going to increase a little bit because it is looking back 200 weeks. So it takes a while before it actually like sees the dip to the downside after having something like that. So that is, you know, the final defense right there. But we did manage to bounce back off of this golden pocket, so that's at least some kind of good news for the time being. But you know, over here on the daily chart, managed to squeeze a couple green candles out, but nothing too fantastic. Even if we came back up to the weekly, we closed relatively high above it, so that's also a good thing. Although look at those numbers, 22, 24, 25, 26 on the DBSI, all after that blood diamond. I mean, that blood diamond was not playing around. Kind of called that thing pretty well up here. You know, money flow still heading down. VWAP is starting to turn back up a little bit, which again, Heikinashi's a little hard to tell, but basically that's what's going on. You know, the regular candles behind the scenes, you know, came back up. Now we're just largely going sideways at this point. You know, money flow still basically going down, although, you know, momentum waves looking like we potentially did hit a bottom. RSIs came back together. You know, we were angled up, however, you know, weekly, but it's starting to flatten out a little bit. So we'll see what's going on right there. I am not 100% on, you know, any kind of big rebound just yet. But I was talking about a few days ago that I'd be interested to see, you know, if we did get this kind of fake out going, you know, with this pattern right here, you know, came down, broke through, had a fake out, came back up, and then went somewhere from there, because we've had plenty of patterns that went into a double fake out, and sometimes it's hard to tell. Sometimes you see a double fake out and really it ends up just being, and you know, that the pattern was a little bit different and you just drew it too tight. But not a whole heck of a lot to go off of, since we do have this new low here. You know, it's hard to really call it a downward channel. There's just not enough there for that. So I'm sticking with this little flag pattern right here for the time being. Let's see, on the 12-hour, you know, slowly increasing on the money flow. Let me pull that up a little bit. So, yeah, slowly increasing. Now, a couple other good things that we were seeing. You know, we were getting bullish divergence on the VWAP. Technically, you could call it bullish divergence on the money flow. A little bit over here on the momentum, but you see it more on some lower time frames if you want to start looking at that. You know, right here, it wasn't a whole heck of a lot, but you know, that is a higher low right there. So I had that going for us. You know, a little bit more accurate on the money flow right here, to where, you know, we didn't even start heading up till about this point right here. So there was still you know, there's still some weight belts on that diving candles right there. So seeing that, I was not expecting a gigantic rebound. And to see this pointed back down again, still not. RSI splitting as we were going to the upside, also not bullish. You know, VWAP looking like it's coming up to potentially cross over, but we could take either a bounce off the zero line or just a short, weak little move to the upside, because it does kind of seem like we're getting this little arcing trend in the VWAP over here, where we kind of rolled back up and now we're starting to roll back down. So we'll see what happens with that. As far as divergencies, divergi, higher high, Actually, is that a double top? Potentially a double... Oh, man. Too hard to do with that tool. Potentially a double top right there with downward sloping, you know, VWAP on the bottom of it. So, again, not super bullish. Let's go down to the 1 hour, see what's going on right now. You know, we do have finally a little bit of green wave going on the money flow. You know, we had lower lows right there, higher lows over here on the VWAP, so we had some divergence right there. Didn't show up in the RSI, didn't show up on the momentum wave, but if you've been following around with the divergence videos that we've been making, specifically talking about the VWAP divergences, it's generally a safe bet. You know, if you are getting that bullish divergence on the VWAP, it's generally a safe bet. The biggest thing that's going to determine how much of a move that equates to is going to be, you know, the money flow. Like right here, just disgustingly choppy. So didn't have too much of anything going on right there. Again, like we were talking about before, just hanging out within this little range right there. But we started to get a little bit right here. Not very great. I mean, right, taking such a big dip in the middle of it. Another sign of weakness right there. RSI is never really coming back together. Going sideways with a split right now. Doing the banana split. You know, do still have this little uptrend going on the VWAP here, but it started getting a little flaky right there. You know, what is that? Over, this is a 45-minute chart. I clicked that by accident, but it's kind of telling. Come down to the 30 again. Just ranging sideways in between those support and resistance levels. Money flow starting to come back down. You know, VWAP starting to trend back down. Gigantic split on the RSI. So it's looking like we're going to be weak for a little while. Not even, doesn't even have to be into tomorrow. I mean that's pretty much just diverging RSI lines. Not even saying, you know, your regular divergence, but I'm saying they're just heading off in opposite directions like they just got done having a fight in the living room. So we'll see what comes of that. You know, with that money flow going down, I feel like it's going to work out to the downside. You know, probably catch this floppy little momentum wave coming down, and we may end up, saw it on the higher time frames a little bit, in this little momentum squeeze pattern that we get sometimes. It's a good chance of something like that happening right there. We got new candle going in the red again. Weakness, weakness, weakness. Came up, touched the green for a quick second, started coming back down. We got a couple blood diamonds over here on the 15-minute. Just got a new one printed. It's not confirmed yet, but could be more signs of weakness. You know, starting to get this downward trend in the momentum waves. Money flow decreasing. VWAP just crossed over, got a little red dot. So I'd say it looks like there's a good chance we will see the price go down, at least for a little bit here this evening. Jump over to see what else is going on here. Ethereum looking a little bit better. You know, over here on the 1 hour. Money flow's been in the green for a little bit now. RSI's a little split, but not quite as bad. You know, momentum's still heading up. You know, definitely a little bit volatile. If you see, look at some of the movement in these candles. I'll stretch it out here a little bit. You know, you can see got some big movement just within hourly candles over here on Ethereum. So if you're trading Ethereum and you're scalping it and you're holding that stop loss close, just be wary. Start getting those, you know, volatile candles, like stop loss killers. We got Litecoin making a little bit of move after having a pretty rough week. Yeah, Polkadot kind of flatlining. Solana, you know, money flow looking a little bit better, but price kind of flatlining. Although it was a little bit nicer of a run earlier. ADA even worse with the flat line, but you know, as money flow was coming up, momentum was doing this little, almost like a little head and shoulders looking thing right there. At the same time, just more signs of weakness. Speaking of, who was the mover today? Maker and Elrond. I don't even know if I have Maker on here. I don't think I do, but do have Elrond. Let's see what's going on with it. You know, maintaining that uptrend a little bit better. RSI staying close, staying high, momentum going up. We do have a little bearish divergence on the VWAP right there. So anybody playing with Elrond, keep your head up. Doesn't necessarily mean it's just going to complete reverse, but you know, if you're scalping and you're in one right here, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but keep your head up. Not much going there. Yep, Monero's still going strong. It's, you know, starting to roll over a little bit up here, so we'll see what happens. But you know, money flow still kind of hanging in there. Was getting weakness to the downside, so you know, that's kind of bullish. See what happens if we can keep that little line going. Zcash struggling a little bit more than that. You know, just some of these getting some potentially nice rollover curvature, but splitting to the downside is, you know, better than not. Because at that point, you know, while you're going up, your RSIs are staying tight, staying strong. You can see once we started to split, okay, it started to lose strength. Now we're starting to roll over, but then as it came down, got even more split. So it didn't have enough downward strength to really pull the price down. So it's kind of just bouncing around sideways, which is what that basically equals out to. So I do hear people, you know, saying how they don't really use the RSIs very much. And that's, at this point, that's really the only way that I generally use them. You know, there's other things you can look for within the RSIs over here on Market Cipher, but that's generally what I'm only using them for at this point, is just gauging trend strength. You know, that distance between them, you know, or not, if they're super tight together. And if you want to know more about that, go back and watch. I've got one, maybe two videos alone just on the RSI. So you know, if you're unfamiliar with Market Cipher, for anybody who's a new viewer, if that's not the reason you came here in the first place, if you want to know more about it, I've got a What is Market Cipher video, or you could go all the way back to the beginning of the channel a few months ago and check out, you know, a couple of those videos. Fair warning, the earlier videos are a little bit more long-winded, started to kind of just probably dig in a little bit too deep just for initial videos. But hey, what can I say? You know, I was just starting out learning how to do this and getting better at it, and I have a tendency to talk too much, if you haven't noticed. So those early videos can be a little bit long, but pretty much everything that has been in those early videos about Market Cipher, I've kind of broken up more and made like individual videos, or at least like videos talking about just a couple little items that are more concise and hopefully a little bit better. The audio is probably a little bit better. So If there's anything that you want to know about it, feel free to go look through there. I'm sure you'll find something. There's a bunch, honestly, there's a bunch of other interesting stuff there too, like order of operations video, which talks about, you know, which indicator takes precedent over the other ones. You know, if you're seeing signals in one indicator, like if you're seeing signals on the money flow, but you're also seeing some stuff in the momentum waves, you know, which one takes precedent, which one do you believe a little bit more if you get conflicting signals. So that's a good video to go and watch. But I think I'm going to leave this one short. Not a whole heck of a lot going on, obviously. You know, not terribly different from S&P 500 at the moment. But that's what's going on. At the end of the day, we have to hold this golden pocket. It's kind of the gist of it at this point. Hold this golden pocket and then hold that 200-week moving average. If we can pull that off, then you know, we may be looking at a bottom or at least a lower consolidation range. You know what? One more thing while we're doing this. If you're curious, let's check out the bull market support band. Yikes, it's not even on the screen. Oh, look at that, it's getting thin. We are well below the bull market support band. I think it's a fair bet at this point to say it's probably a bear market. I mean, if there was like any other gauge aside from what you see on the chart, it's if you sit there and go scrolling through YouTube or wherever and you look at all the crypto people, look at every single title on the videos, and you'd think it was, you know, apocalyptic. Now, I'm not saying that, you know, that's going to be the case, you know, generally when you kind of get to the bottom, everybody's just beat down and demoralized. But I don't think we've had enough. I don't think people have, you know, taken the beating enough just quite yet. So we'll see. You know, I got a feeling we have some more room to go. You know, over here on the weekly chart, you know, we put in that new low, broke below that line. You know, RSI still heading down, still in the red even. You know, this guy's starting to flatten out a little bit, just, you know, as we had that action going in, but still got room for these guys to come in and meet up. Money flow barely even in the red yet. Still got a little bit more time below zero on the VWAP, so we shall see. We shall see. You know, over here on the monthly, still trending down. RSI's still together, still heading down. You know, VWAP still trending down. Now, granted, we could start going up significantly before we see this get changed, but just saying. But all right, that's about it. And remember, real quick, take you back to the quote of the day. Don't forget, when everyone else is scared, that's the best time to smile and say, fuck it, I'm going in. You know, don't get too beat up over it. I know a lot of people probably, you know, lost some money in Luna and all that good stuff. I lost more unrealized profit than I actually lost of money that I put in. I really didn't put that much money in, but I got in at a pretty significantly low price. So on one hand, it kind of sucked, but at the same time, you know, it is what it is. It wasn't that much. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. So hopefully you, you know, played it smart. I know I sold a bunch, not necessarily at the top, but close enough that in the end made more than I lost. That's all that counts, I suppose. All the rest I'm just not going to think about. But even if you did lose some money, keep your head up. Don't start going into trades with a vengeance thinking that you have to make that money back. wipe your mind clean. Go watch any of the 3 trading psychology videos that I've got, especially the first one. Yeah, I mean, honestly, all 3, but I think the first one talks about that. Or maybe it's the second one. I don't know. Watch all 3. But, just wipe everything out of your mind when you're going into a trade, because if you go into it with the emotion of, oh my God, I can't believe I lost that. Damn, I'm down, a couple grand or something like that, and I need to make it back. Got to make it back on this trade. This is the one. It's going to rule your decision-making process, and you're going to make, biased decisions based on the fact that you're trying to force it. Like for anybody out there who plays golf, you know what it is. When you try to kill the ball, you try to smack the living shit out of it. What happens? You usually mess it up. But when you're calm, cool, relaxed, follow through, you keep your arms straight and bent the way you're supposed to, keep your hips squared, all that good stuff, and you focus on your form, tends to work out a lot better. Well, the same can be said about trading. Stick to the plan that you had when you opened the trade, what you were looking for, what the potential closing position looked like that you were expecting, or what signals you're watching for, and forget about trying to force it. Forget about trying to make up for lost money. Just think about that trade right now. What's going on with it? Block everything else out. So that's my 2 little tidbits. But remember, keep being a badass. Regardless of what you're doing, keep improving yourself. Everything from psychological to physical to financial. It all matters. It all counts. Regardless, at the end of the day, life is short. You want to be happy. You want to enjoy it. Money isn't necessarily going to do that for you, but it sure makes life a little bit easier. So, keep telling yourself, you're a badass. You can do it. I believe it. Peace.